Yeah,
All right.
let's do it.
Right. So welcome everybody. We've got a fun episode today. We've got Shannon Squires here, and we're going to be looking at the art of children's portraits. So this is going to be a really, really cool program, and I'm very excited about it. I'm your host, Chris Woolley, and for those of you that are just joining us for the first time, welcome. This is Let's Develop from American Color Imaging. We've got a new episode every 2 weeks where we bring professional photographers in, and we just dive into cool topics, something that's interesting and relevant to what you're doing. This is entirely built up for our membership here, so anybody that's joining in and wants to learn stuff, ask questions, reach out. We're here to put on cool programs. Do want to give a shout out to American Color Imaging for putting this on. And if you do stay till the very end, we do have some giveaways as well as a special from ACI. If you have missed some of the previous episodes, like Erica Lane Harvey when she did Someday is Code for Never, about actually pursuing your dreams and just making that first step, the replays are live, as well as all the other episodes that we've done on ACI's website, acilab.com/let's-develop. Okay, so now we get to actually introduce Shannon here, and she did let me know that if you do have questions during her program, put them in chat. We'll be monitoring those questions live, and she'll be answering them as we go on, because I know she's got a ton of information for us. But those of you that don't know Shannon, she's a master photographer and a CPP. Started out at the Art Institute of Seattle, where she got an associate's degree in commercial photography, and then just kind of blew up. And she started doing amazing things with PPA and the affiliates there, and entering image competition. In her second year, she just went absolutely bonkers here. Got first place at the GIAs, the Grand Imaging Awards, in the Children Photography category. And then in 2021, also got the first place in the Children's category and the overall Grand Imaging Award for that. She's an instructor. She does both in-person and online things. And, of course, she's a mama of 3 kids as well as a wife. So let's bring it in, Shannon. Hello, and thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here and be able to be a part of this. So I hope everybody gets a lot out of this. I'm just going to kind of run through all of my fine art stuff, kind of where I started, and just kind of dive in. So if anybody has any questions, please don't hesitate to speak up, because this is a lot of information. So we'll go through it fairly quickly in a short amount of time. So please speak up.
All right. Cool. So, yep, those questions, make sure they're there. I'll be monitoring chat, and I'll interrupt you if we have a good one.
All right. So I think one of the main questions that I get asked when people ask me about my children's fine art stuff is, how do you start? Because nobody just starts off doing fine art work, or at least not that I've heard of anyways. I certainly did not. So as Chris mentioned, I actually went to school at the Art Institute of Seattle, where I got my degree in commercial photography. And at that point, I just wanted to do fashion photography. I wanted to do something cool, not the norm. I really, truly did not want to be a portrait photographer. I think back then this dates me just a little bit. I started on film years and years ago. And so my first year of art school was all on film, developing film. And then the second year we dove into digital photography. And I think it was like, I had a Canon 10D at that point. Lightroom wasn't even in existence. And so it was like Photoshop 5 or 3 or I don't even remember. So it was a long time ago. Great. Yes, definitely pre-CS. And I remember it was like a whole new world for me. And so once the digital world kind of exploded, people's skill level changed quite a bit, and it stopped being just the standard portrait photographer that you think of kind of like old school lighting, old school work, and people could take it to kind of a new artistic level. Specifically, well, I guess not specifically, but a lot of them were moms or are still moms, or even just parents in general. So when I jumped into doing portrait work, I was all outdoors. And like so many photographers, I think that we have our camera. For me, I had the school behind it, but I didn't necessarily have the money to, one, hire an assistant or invest in lighting. I don't think I paid as well attention to my lighting classes when I was at art school. And so after taking a 6-year break from photography as a makeup artist, I came back to it. I was just kind of winging it. So I did mostly outdoor work for a very long time, and I just worked with available light, which I was 100% content with. I was intimidated by lighting, but I didn't really care to even like look into it either. I just loved what I could do with available light. So in Sacramento, when I lived in Sacramento, I actually joined their guild there, their affiliate for the PPA in Sacramento Valley. And I started getting into image competition. And I just, for whatever reason, looking at the photos that people were entering, I fell in love with studio lighting and the idea of lighting kids in studio, or just people in general in studio. So I started to kind of give my hand at it. So this is, if you can see the light like right above my head over here, I'm fairly certain there was no softbox, there was no modifier on this light at all. And it was just a cheap, under $100 light, and it had those spiral LED bulbs in it. I had the backdrops from Cowboy Studio, and I was just working with not even real backdrops. These were just pieces of fabric that I used when I would photograph newborns. I shot in my living room. You can see it's just a crazy mess. I'm sitting on my coffee table. And the reason I tell you this is because so many people say, how do you do it? With being a mom, being a wife, how do you do it on a daily basis? So I wanted to kind of like humble myself and show you where I started, because everybody starts somewhere, including myself. And maybe you are still standing on your coffee table, simply trying to make it work. So this image is actually one of my very first studio type portraits. It did okay in print competition. There's obviously some flaws in it. But for whatever reason, I just fell in love with it, and this kind of really sparked my love for studio work. So I just kind of kept going with my studio lighting. And this was me at the GIAs in 2019. I was very, very pregnant. So if this kind of gives you an idea, and again, I'm just showing you this because everything I've done has all happened while babies were on my lap, nursing babies on my lap, while I'm editing one-handed. This is my life. So being, I don't necessarily call myself a mom tog, but I definitely, because I started photography before I ever had kids, but I can relate to those moms and how hard it is to find that work-life balance and also pursue your dreams. So this image was my first GIA image. And this was also just shot, I think possibly I might have got a modifier for, for this particular lighting situation right here. At that point, it was shot in my basement. I think I had borrowed somebody's gray seamless paper, and this was my first GIA. So fast forward. Thank you. So fast forward a couple of years, and this would be my GIA from last year, the overall Grand Imaging Award image. And it's funny because when I did this picture, I truly did not think anything of it. I sat on it for at least a year, and then when the pandemic hit and I didn't really have any new images to edit, I pulled this one out and gave it new life, and the rest is history, so to speak. Yeah, so there's that one. And then, like I said, all of this is my life. This is my world. This is how I edit.
So
kids. Oh, thank you. They're all pretty little here. But this is how I did it. All day, every day, I just made it work. I'd sneak away when the baby was sleeping, or I'd hold the baby. I have dual screens, and so there'd be bubble guppies or little Einsteins or something, some sort of a cartoon on one screen while I was trying to edit on the other one, and I just simply made it work. There was always kids in my office. I always let my kids in my office. I don't close the door on them. They're always welcome in here anytime. My oldest likes to come in and help me remove stray hairs. So this is very much, my kids are my world, and they're very much involved in everything that I do. Yeah, right. So this is them. They're a little bit closer to their ages now. Don't let their sweet little faces fool you. They're fantastic children, but they're very, very busy, especially that little baby there. And then this is my little family. So this was actually last year. So you can see they've all grown just a little bit. But again, this is me. This is being a mom tug, I guess. And I wanted to be able to show you that it is very much possible to create art, to win awards, to take your photography to that next level, and still be a very devoted, very involved parent. It's just about finding that balance. So I loved what you said about Erica Harvey coming in and saying, what was her tagline? She said, someday
is code for never.
Someday is code for never.
Right.
So I said someday for the longest time. Someday I won't be shooting in my basement. Someday I'll actually have a location where I can actually do my fine art work. Or, I was so limited in my basement. I shoot with an 86-inch umbrella. And you can only go so high in a basement with an umbrella that big. It was basically floor to ceiling almost. But somehow I made it work. So when the pandemic hit and things actually started to open up just a little bit, my friend reached out to me and she says, hey, I'm in this building and they have a space that's available. So I went and I looked at this space with my best friend, Jessica. This is Jessica. So we share this space. She's also a very talented family portrait photographer. And we went and looked at this space and we fell in love with it. And right in the middle of the pandemic, we decided to dive in and have a studio. So this was it before we got a hold of it. And then we ended up just painting the facades. It used to be a window world. So they would sell windows and doors and stuff. And we just kind of ran with that theme for our studio. So this was my someday. And that's what we said when we did our ribbon cutting event, is when your someday suddenly becomes today. So that was our someday. So fast forwarding a little bit, in moving into the studio space gave me the ability and the freedom to experiment more with my lighting and the different lighting patterns. And so I could take it from that initial $85 bare bulb light and I could take it a step up. And this is my typical lighting setup now. I currently am using Alien Bees, but I am switching over to Godox as we speak. I have all my Godox. It's just a matter of getting them set up and tuned the way I want and getting the modifiers I want. So I currently do work with Alien Bees. My big PLM is an 86-inch PLM umbrella, and I use that as kind of my main light off to camera right. And it's a 1600. And then I usually have my 54-inch PLM umbrella on the left-hand side as more of a fill. A lot of times I'll bring it all the way down to the floor to kick up some light and kind of give them a little bit of extra sparkle in the, like their iris. So then it ends up looking like you have a catch light on one side and then the shape light in the iris on the other side. And then of course my backdrop light. All right, so inspiration and design. So I find inspiration for my children's portraits all over the place. In this particular case, for this photo of my daughter, I was actually getting ready to present to do an online Zoom for one of the affiliates for PPA, and I had an idea already planned out. And then about an hour before I was supposed to jump on this Zoom, I was like, nope, I'm going to change it up. So I grabbed my daughter, put her in a dress. I went down to my basement because I still had some things that I could use here to light her. And I shot this picture because I had this thought in my mind. And at one point, my mom said to me growing up, to bloom where you're planted. And that's where this image came into play, is to wherever you're at in your life, you can bloom and find a way. You might not be able to change your situation where you're at currently, but you can certainly find a way to bloom. So that was the inspiration for that one. So titles, the titles of songs, titles of books, that sort of a thing is where inspiration starts for me. Color combinations are very big for me. I love looking at color combinations. You'll see a trend throughout my work of the contrast between warm tones and cool tones. So if there's a blue in my image, you can usually find yellow or orange. Kind of very much like my Gia picture. The backdrop is blue, but there's oranges and yellows and reds to kind of in contrast to that. Song lyrics. I listen to a lot of music while I edit, and I love song lyrics. And sometimes, and that's a good artist, right? When you're writing a song and you want people to visualize what it is that you're saying, and that, so songs a lot of times speak to me, and those titles speak to me as well. And sometimes I like to create those and bring them to life visually. Different phrases, like I said, bloom where you planted. That one was a big one for me. Textures. I love textures. So like the log in this image, I love velvets. I love so many things, wood textures, shiny textures, all of it. Anything that I can put into my image that makes it look like you can reach out and touch it and you would know what it feels like, I'll put it in my photos. Lighting patterns. I look at a lot of different photographers' work, and sometimes I see different lighting patterns, and they just really inspire me to want to practice that type of lighting pattern and see if I can't bring it to life in my own sort of way. And then different stories. Everybody has a story. I've met so many people with just really awesome stories, and sometimes it brings a vision to your life. And I have a lot of clients who will bring me their stories and ask me to put it into some sort of an image to document that particular time in their life. And so this one obviously tells a little bit of a story. And this one was called Broken Vessel. And it just kind of portrayed, we're all a little bit broken. We all have different cracks and different things that make us a little bit more vulnerable. So in the end, we're all just broken vessels. This one was very much, I was inspired by the wind in her hair. And then of course the color combinations. I saw this backdrop on, I think Shutterstock probably. And I just wanted to do something with it. And so this was just me kind of playing around a little bit. And it was a lot of fun. Here's an example of one of my clients kind of coming to me. So the girl with the blue feather in her hand, my client, this is her daughter, and she wanted to do some sort of a photo shoot with her. They had lost her pet. She'd lost her pet bird tragically, and she was so sad about it. And so her mom brought her to this session. She didn't know what we were doing. So I had to kind of find some way to tell the story without triggering the day's events that were so sad, but also without her knowing. Her mom didn't want her to know that she was doing this. So I just kind of had her pose softly. And then eventually when I got it into Photoshop, I brought in that feather and then also the shadow of the bird on her heart. And then the one on the right, I was just inspired by the shine from her skirt. The mom says, oh, we just got this cute new skirt and I really want to do something with it. So that lighting pattern and that idea of not quite high key, but definitely taking it to like a brighter level was inspiring to me. All right, so that image on the right is actually the same little girl, and her mom wanted to do something again with this dress. In this particular case, the mom bought both outfits and she wanted to bring them to life. And I loved the idea of the moon moths being the light that was on her. And then obviously it ties into the butterflies on her dress. Textures once again. So this one is my little niece. And I loved the wood texture. This little hedgehog has become like a staple in the studio. Everybody loves the hedgehog. My son, every time we go to the studio, he tries to like take it and bring it home. He thinks it's his. I'm like, nope, it's mine. And so I love the texture. I love his hair. I love the pattern on that fabric. Same with my niece. I loved the mess that she is with the scrapes on her knee and the half fixed leggings. So lots of textures in this one. Okay, so one thing that is important to me, if you know me, you know that I'm a huge advocate in awareness of human trafficking. So I adore kids. I spent some time in Romania working at an orphanage. So being an advocate for children is a huge part of who I am, like I said. So appropriate styling for children is huge. So we're going to kind of dive into that a little bit. So with kids, I always say no low cut tops, no short bottoms, really just letting kids be kids. You have to think age appropriate styling, everything that I have. I love sleeves. I almost always have sleeves on children. Very rare will you ever see any children in strapless. And that's just me. I just think it's really important to make sure you maintain modesty and age appropriate clothing when styling children. For kids, so she has a little bit of shine in this particular image. Based on the kind of overall theme that we were going for her look. But generally speaking, I don't put very much makeup on children, maybe a little bit of mascara. If there is eyeshadow, like really soft, neutral colors, and I usually say just a little bit of lip gloss, maybe chapstick, nothing too crazy. So chapstick, ditch the lipstick. Lipstick, in my opinion, is just not meant for children. So I just avoid it altogether. I don't do glitter on children, mostly because of the light reflecting. I don't know if you've ever photographed a child, and you just see these white dots where the glitter reflects, and it's just a pain to edit. It's easy enough to do, but I'd rather just kind of go without. So light mascara. What's that?
No, I was just laughing. Glitter gets all over the place.
Oh, glitter. I know. We did glitter sessions last year for around New Year's. And we still find glitter. We still find glitter everywhere.
Oh, you did them indoors?
We did.
Oh, wow. That's brave. That's like doing a flower shoot indoors.
Yeah. we did go with like fatter glitter, so it was maybe a little bit easier to pick up. But but we still find glitter all over the place. So we don't do that.
It just doesn't go away.
It doesn't go away. And I have a lot of sparkly dresses and glitter falls off of those. So it's just a permanent fixture in our studio. Oh, goodness. Okay. So with children, I always say pose younger, not older. You definitely have to think about your poses when you are working with children. Photographers in the past have gotten in trouble for posing kids too mature. So you just have to be careful with that. If you aren't sure about the makeup, about the wardrobe, about the posing, just don't do it. Better to be safe than sorry. And you definitely don't want to take it to an inappropriate level. Okay. All right. So these are some of my client portraits, actually. So I work with, these are all props and dresses that are in my client closet. So when I style my clients, I like to have things available that I know will photograph really well, that will fit multiple sizes, that I can pair different dresses together and they look good together. And so I usually always have things in my closet because what I find is the type of things that I want to photograph and the things that people see in my photos that would photograph well are usually not the practical type of dresses that clients go out and buy. So I have a lot. My prop closet is gigantic and I keep a lot of stuff in there. And I'm also a really big fan of flowers. So yeah.
Are they real flowers or fake flowers?
I do a little bit of both. So the girl in the blue with the red roses, those are real. But I wouldn't know where to find purple flowers on tree limbs. So those are fake. So, and I mean, here in Colorado, we don't really get a ton of flowers unless you go to a grocery store or you go to a florist. So, I mean, I like to kind of toss things in, without thinking about it beforehand. And so I do keep a lot of flowers on hand just in case, but if I can work with real flowers, it definitely makes a difference. All right. So, more texture, goodness. So this girl on the left, I loved this particular outfit because of the texture. I feel like you could reach into that photo and you know exactly what it feels like. chances are you're thinking, oh, okay, I know exactly what that feels like. The mohair is just extra soft. And when I was styling this, and I wanted to bring it together again with the theme of the warm tones and the cool tones, it all kind of came together. And then when thinking about, this soft mohair dress with the velvet bow, I was like, oh, why not peaches, right? I love the color. I love the transition of the color in the peaches, and it just all tied together really well. That bow actually was a chartreuse color, and I changed the color to more of a red to tie into the overall look. And then this girl on the right, she was just fantastic. She actually, on occasion, I do model testing where I bring in people and I have girls or models come in and just shoot with me just to see how well they would do, so that if I have a mentoring session or I have a workshop or something that I need a model for, I have this short list of people that I can work with. And so this was just a model test. This is a dress that I had in my prop closet, just real simple. We clamped it in the back, tossed a blue feather in her hair, or blue flower in her hair, and it just was awesome. And she killed it. Okay, so where do you find wardrobe? A lot of people ask this question a lot as well. So a lot of my dresses, this little pink dress in particular is a couture dress. This is a designer, and her name is Anna Triant. Her dresses are pretty popular in the children's photography world. They are very expensive, but what's cool about these particular dresses is they retain their values. So you could buy this dress and in 2 years sell it for what you bought it for, which is pretty amazing. So it's a decent investment, but they hold their value, which is cool. Antique shops. I go to a lot of antique shops and I just look for little knickknacks, little wardrobe items. I don't know if you guys all love going to antique shops. Does anybody find props and stuff at antique shops?
I love antique shops. I'm constantly.
I love antique shops.
Yeah, if you do if you like to source antiques or vintage shops, put it in the comments here.
Yeah, please
we
do.
Got people coming through saying, yeah.
I love antique shops. And what's cool is like a couple blocks up the street from my studio is one of the biggest antique shops here in town. So we'll just go on a lunch break and go antique shopping, and we love to do that. So antique shops, thrift stores. Sometimes you have to pick a little bit, but you can definitely find some stuff on thrift stores if you're trying to be budget friendly. Old jackets, like wool jackets, are fantastic. You can find some really cool textures at thrift shops. And what's cool about it too is it's going to be cheap enough to where you don't necessarily have to use it as a jacket. You can take it apart and use it as something else. Small boutiques. There's tons of them out there. I know lots of different people buy bulk things from China maybe, and they bring it here and they will sell it as like type of a boutique type thing. There's a place called Trish Scully. So she has a lot of stuff on her site that are just simple, inexpensive dresses. She has fantastic velvet suits for little boys that photograph fantastic, and they're great colors as well. So small boutiques like that is usually where I will find some of those. Amazon, also fantastic for little things. I'll sometimes go in and type in vintage inspired or puffy dresses, and just random stuff will pop up, and I could shop on Amazon for forever. They're also really fantastic for props. If you just type in different things. The other day I bought a large cast iron key that I use in photos, and it's fantastic. And I know my delivery guys very well. Couture designers, like I said, so this one is an Anna Triant dress. I don't suggest going out and blowing your entire budget on couture gowns. So the couture gowns are fun, but what I find is not everybody wants to wear those. They kind of like the more antique looking stuff or vintagey looking stuff, fine art looking stuff. So these are fun dresses for on occasion, and they're nice staples to have in my prop closet, but it's not always my go-to. So I do offer a dress buyback program so that I have these stuff in my closet. If a client happens to go out and they buy something and they will never ever wear it again, I will offer them a dress buyback and I'll give them an equal value print credit for the price of the dress. And what's awesome is I get to add that to my closet. Essentially, I get the dress at a fraction of the cost based on my markups. And then my designers get paid really well. They get their full price for their dresses as well. So I'll do this on occasion. Obviously you have to be smart about how you do it and how much you do it. I only take things that I approve, that I think would work well in my prop closet. Does anybody else do a dress buyback program?
I've never heard of that, but I love it.
You haven't? Okay. So I've known a few people that have done it, and it's fantastic. My studio mate, Jessica, she does it a lot with maternity dresses. And so we have a great selection of children's dresses and then maternity dresses as well, because that's how we do things. Because when you think about buying some of these maternity dresses, they're long and they're poofy and they're see-through. And there's so many things that nobody is ever going to wear it again. So they're usually more than happy that you offer a dress buyback program. All right, so this is an example of a dress that I actually bought from the girl on the left. Her mom brought this. This is a vintage Gunny Sack dress. And I just thought it would be fantastic. I loved, again, the texture. I loved the style of it, all of it. And it has been a really great thing to have in my prop closet. I've used it many, many times, and it continues to be a favorite.
So, Shannon, do you have a question about your model testing?
Yeah.
How does the model testing work, and how did you do the model call?
Okay. So when you do model calls, you have to be very, very specific about what you're looking for, especially if you're posting on Facebook and various things, because you can say, well, one, you're going to get a lot of response. And so you could say, I need a little girl who is maybe like a size 8 with curly black hair. Okay. And no matter what, you're going to get, I have a blonde haired 5-year-old little boy. No matter what, people always are going to want free photos of their children. And so I'll put it out there, but you have to be really specific. And so when I do it, I say, hey, I'm looking for this size, type, make, all that stuff, hair color, all of it, make, model, all of it. Right. And so you'll get those responses. You'll get like I said, the other people as well. And I always tell people, I do not direct message me, because that's a lot of messages. And I always say, to apply for this model call, please post a well-lit picture in the comments. And what this does is it helps your feed, right? It helps you get seen. People are posting pictures, lots and lots of comments. So it's always really good. So you're going to have all those pictures. And then I say, I will reach out to someone who fits this particular look. I'll reach out to you. Do not DM me. I won't reply. I just can't. And you get a lot of people. But one thing that does too is you're going to get what you're looking for, but you're also going to create this list on your page that you can go back to and look for those blonde hair, blue-eyed little boys. Right. And so it's fantastic. And so I have some of those on my page, and I'll just go back and I'll search them and I'll pull up models, and I'll do that every now and again. But you have to be
taking really good notes about this. That's such a great idea.
Yeah, it is. And I think like 250 comments.
That's great for your
before. It is. It's fantastic for your page.
Yep.
Absolutely. It's fantastic. So it ends up working really well. Yeah.
What do the models
you can
get?
Do that. You don't have to do. What's that?
What do the models get? Do they get like photos, a print credit, or?
Yes. So I don't. In my model call, I don't normally say what they get, but when I reach out to them, I'll say, hey, I'd love to photograph your daughter. This is my thought process. I always tell them, okay, this is kind of what I'm shooting. I have this dress that I think would be pretty. I have this idea. I will do the photo session, and I will give you 1 to 3 images of my choosing. Fine art edits. Are you interested? So you have to be very, very clear with what they're getting out of it before they even walk into your studio. I know a lot of photographers will do an ordering session after a model call. I do not. Normally, the type of clientele that I have are not the people that are going to be commenting about free photo shoots. And so and then models, they work hard. So I'm not looking for them to fund my studio. I'm looking truly to make art, and I appreciate their time. So I will give them, like I said, 1 to 3 photos. So it kind of depends on what it is. If it's an outdoor session, it usually yields more photos that I can edit for them. If it's a fine art session, there's a little bit less variety and I can get what I want a little bit quicker. So that's usually when it's like 1 to 2 photos for a fine art session.
Is that digital or print? And if so, what size?
Digital. I give them the high res. Yeah. Okay. Some people won't, and that's totally fine. I know people that will only mail prints. For me, when I've already invested in the wardrobe, sometimes hair and makeup, I don't really necessarily want to go back and invest in prints. I do tell them, here's the file. If you want a nice print of it, here's my pricing. If you want that, but you have this to do what you would like to with, right?
Nice.
Yeah. So I just make it easy. I'm pretty easy peasy. I don't really force people to buy anything from me. And they usually appreciate that. And a lot of I should also say this, I don't do model calls a ton because I have created a name for myself within the child modeling world to where parents will bring their kids to me and have a photo shoot, and then I can see how they work. And I add them to my list of models that I call on for various things or when I have workshops. And so I know models literally around the country. So it worked out pretty good. All right. Okay.
Very
so
cool.
I don't.
We have about 15 minutes left. So just a time check.
Okay.
I know we got a lot.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. I know there's lots. Okay. All right. So I don't just work with little girls. Obviously, I work with little boys as well. So this on the left, this little yellow vest, that was an antique shop find. And I think it's like an old Mongolian sheep herder's vest. So obviously I needed a goat or something to photograph it with. And I just had this vision when I bought it, and finally it kind of came to life. This little boy on the right, I think I bought that particular jacket off of another photographer. So it was obviously well loved. It made its rounds, and I love this jacket. The periscope I found, or spyglass, I don't know, I think whatever you want to call it, antique shop. The same time I found the sheep herder's vest, and then the boat is just from Hobby Lobby. I do love Hobby Lobby too for different things. Okay.
So do you have a question? Can you talk at all about your styling methods?
Yeah. So when I am doing different styling, so for instance, this little guy with the sheep herder's vest, I'm looking for textures, and I'm looking for the colors that are going to work for him, work for the overall outfit. So sometimes when I have these different visions, a lot of time it happens organically, and I have no clue what I'm going to do once I get to the session, or I know what I'm going to do, but it completely changes just based on the groove of the whole session. So as far as styling goes, I usually start with knowing what the model looks like. So for instance, in this case, I knew she had red hair. I knew that she would look fantastic in purple, just all based off of color theory and what I know about skin tones, makeup, all of that stuff. So that's why I put her in this particular dress and just a neutral backdrop, because I didn't want it to, well, back then I was doing a lot of, I say back then, that's just a couple years ago. I feel like I'm in this blue mood.
Living room days. Yep.
Yeah. And like back then I was really into brown backdrops. So that's kind of where I was going with that. But almost always there's like a color combination in my mind. And there's always some sort of a pop of color that's complementary to whatever it is we happen to be using. Is there any like specific styling questions as well?
I think it was just gaining insight. Nope.
Just gaining it. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah,
There's so much here. I've already got a couple of pages of notes.
Oh my gosh, I know there is so much. That's why it's such a huge topic. So like I said, I'll just throw things in my prop closet. And then when I get into the studio, I just start pulling things, and then things are everywhere and we just see what magic comes from it. But when I shop, I'm always looking for textures. Client closet gets them excited. It helps you to control your session styling. It allows clients to spend more money on prints when they get to their ordering appointment. If they don't have to invest $500 in wardrobe for their family or their kids, they get to bring that into the ordering appointment, and it's fun. And also, clients love my buyback program. Here is a little quick snippet of my wardrobe closet. It is chaos on a regular basis. Okay, so just some more styling. So this girl on the right, this was a new dress to me, so I wanted to try it out. I photographed this girl multiple times. She is a model, but she's also one of my clients. And I photograph her and her sister often for her mom. This little girl on the right, we just wanted to play. I had this new backdrop and it was light, and I don't normally shoot on light backdrops. So that was the inspiration there. And we just had this antique pajama set that she was wearing. And it just all kind of came together.
With the client closet, are you looking at that at like a pre-planning session, or is it just before the session that you're picking stuff out? Or?
Yeah. So usually with my client closet, if they, sometimes, so at this point, people just know me. They're like, do whatever you want.
Do your thing.
Do whatever you want.
Yep.
I'm like, okay, send me a picture of your kids and I'll kind of, get some color ideas in my head. I'll pull some different things together based on either their coloring. If they want a fine art session, usually I start with finding a dress that's going to work for their coloring. And then it kind of evolves from there as far as like propping goes and the overall look for it. Yeah.
How many images do you typically show a client from a session?
From a fine art session, it's usually around like 25 to 30, I'd say. So when I am doing a client session in studio, like a fine art type session, I don't just do one set, I do multiple sets. Like I'll change up the looks. Like maybe we'll do a puffy dress, and then in another one, we'll do more of a vintage look to it.
Cool.
So fun. Yeah. So this is that. I know. For whatever reason, I like nautical stuff. I don't know. I live in the mountains. I'm not sure why I like nautical stuff, but it seems to be a theme for me.
I
so this is actually one of those velvet suits that I was talking about that location has, Trish Scully. And I love their velvet suits. They have them in green and black and red. And I just love the texture of velvet. I have crowns. I have capes. I have custom dresses. All this stuff is currently sitting in my prop closet. So while most people do know me for my children's portraits, I do also work with grown people, bigger adults or bigger people, I guess. So again, these are all things that are in my prop closet. So if I have models that come to me or people that just want something fun, I can accommodate that as well. And again, I don't just work with females. I also work with males and play around a little bit. So this guy on the right, he just had such a cool look that I only used one light on him. Actually, there's two. I think there was a backdrop light and then one kind of a spotlight on him, just to kind of get this harsh look. He's actually probably one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet, but that's a jacket. And I loved his all look. This is all him. He did all of that styling himself. We just had him come in and I just let him. So maternity sessions, I do that quite a bit.
Edit your images before the ordering appointment?
Oh gosh, no. No. There's no way I could possibly do that. I love editing far too much to be able to edit all of the images before they get there. So my clients do know that what they're looking at is very much an unedited image. And that's actually a perfect segue into this. So I shoot slightly underexposed. I love to edit. Like I love love it. It's so much fun for me. I was a pencil artist before I was ever any type of an artist. And so I love to edit. I have my Cintiq Wacom tablet, and I will edit on that all day long. So, and a lot of times what I'll do is I shoot mostly on gray, and I will incorporate my own textured backdrops into the image in post-production. And this is actually, these are my textured backdrops that I created these all myself by hand in Photoshop, and I will just drag and drop these into my image as needed. And then I created this one. And this is just, sorry, I'm trying to make sure we're on time here.
We're good. We got about 7 or 8 minutes left.
Oh, okay, perfect. Okay. Okay, so this is one of the textured backdrops that I actually created, and special for you guys, I actually have not released this to the world just yet, but this is actually, I created an online shop with not only my digital backdrops, but editing tutorials and all sorts of other things. This particular backdrop right here is one of my favorites that I like to drop into my images. It gives it like great texture, great color. It just is one of my favorites. And so this one is actually a freebie on my site, which for
those of you that are logged in, you should see something that just a little picture of a gift that says free background. If you click on that, it'll take you to the site where you can download it. If you don't have that handy or you're on your phone, I will also be emailing out a direct link so that you can download it from Shannon's site after the program.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. So I know that was like kind of a real quick crash course on what I do as a fine art children's photographer. So
we got a couple more questions coming in still too.
Oh, please. Yes, do it.
What size Cintiq do you use?
I have the large, and I think it's 17 inches across. Yeah. So I like large. I actually went and I looked at a medium, and it was far too small for me. I like the big surface space. So I usually go with a large.
Are you doing your editing mostly in Photoshop?
I do my editing 100% in Photoshop.
Well, that makes it easy. What cues do you give to, or things do you say to get those intense expressions? They're not the smiley cute kids. They've got some.
Sure, I know.
Tell us your secrets.
Yeah, what's your secrets? You know what? So I have them freeze, and a lot of times kids will either like tighten their lips, and I like just relax your lips, open your lips just a little bit. Sometimes you can tell them to put their tongue at the top of their mouth, and it kind of helps them to relax a little bit. A lot of times I'll tell them, okay, give me a little bit of sparkle, and they'll do this with their eyes really big, and then they'll kind of come down and then if you can catch them quick enough, you get it right at this point before they close their eyes too much, because kids have this tendency to look from under their brows or like with their nose up, and they kind of look like they're mad or scowling. So if you say,
get the sparkle, not the glitter,
open their eyes, and then it slowly relaxes, and that's when I take the shot. So hopefully that answers.
Fantastic. Yeah. How can we learn more from you?
Yeah. Okay. So a couple of different things. I am speaking quite a bit for affiliates all over the country. I'll be in Texas a few times this year. So I'll be there in February twice, one in Dallas and once in Lubbock. I'll be speaking in Florida in July, and then I'll be speaking online for the affiliate in Arizona. Let's see, Texas School 2022. I'm new to Texas School, and so this will be my first year teaching at Texas School. Registration opens up on January 1st, so that's really exciting. To my knowledge, you have to be ready as soon as they open booking, because things tend to go really fast. Is from what I've never been to Texas School, but this is what I'm hearing. So if you want in my class, you better be quick. Yeah. So be ready on January 1st. So again, my very new learning platform. This is not fully released to the world. I was kind of waiting to have this time with Chris and share it here. So I have it's called Shannon Squires Creative Academy. I do have a Facebook page, but you can see the website down there at the bottom. I have master classes, I have tutorials, I have those digital backdrops, overlays, some brushes. This is just my little baby site, so it is just in the very beginnings of it. So I'm going to be adding lots more stuff lots more tutorials and products along the way. A couple things you won't see in my shop is going to be the standard things that you can find everywhere else. So you won't see glitter. We don't need more glitter overlays in the world. So what I do is I try to create very unique things that I haven't seen before. I don't know if they're out there, but I hadn't seen them before. So a lot of the things I did draw and create by hand, just to have in the shop, I wanted to be kind of a specialty thing. So for you all, it's I have a code for you to do 35% off anything in the shop, including the lifetime membership. And like I said, it's just in the baby phases. So if you do the lifetime membership, I mean, you're gonna win big. Well, it's gonna pay off. Yeah. So yeah, but that's that. So thanks, Chris.
I did put a link that's in the comment section as well in the chat. So you guys can click that and that'll take you to her site. And I'll have a link in the email along with that code. So you can make sure you're taking advantage of that and checking it out in case you are on your phone or something mobile there.
Awesome. Thank you.
Oh, got a note here that Texas school registration this year is January 3rd.
Oh, January 3rd. Thank you. Thank you for saying that.
Do we have any other questions for Shannon? So I'm going to give away some prizes and stuff. If you do have questions, put them in the chat so that we aren't missing out on that one. But let's kind of dive in and look at some of our prizes thanks to American Color Imaging. So up first, we've got a $50 lab credit. Can use this on absolutely anything from ACI. So let's see who our winner is. I love the wheel of prizes.
I was going to say, do you have like a wheel?
It is. It's a total wheel. It's a ton of fun. And hey, Robert, congratulations. We'll be emailing you on that, just writing down your name so I can make sure that we get it to you. All right. And our next prize now is a $75 lab credit. So $75 lab credit. And we're spinning. Hey, Kimberly. You may remember Kimberly's episode on doing events is also up on the website there. So if you want to know more about Kimberly, you can check that one out. And I've got one more prize to give away now, and this is a $100 lab credit. Perfect time as we're coming up on the holidays. Get new samples coming in, use it on client orders, entirely up to you. And Glinda. That was a close one. I couldn't quite tell from where the picture was pointing out, but luckily it knows what's happening there. So congratulations, Glinda, on that one. Also do want to let you know about a special that ACI is having and get 25% off of Econo Lay Flat albums. I will put into chat the link as well as emailing you guys the special code, and that lasts for a couple of weeks so we can go and redeem that. We do have more shows of these coming up here in a couple of weeks. We've got Tony Harriman Johnson, The Heart of an Artist, and registration is open on that one as well. And as always, if you guys do have ideas for future episodes, you want to be on the show, there's more content that you want to know, or you really, really enjoy a topic or a speaker, please reach out to me either on Facebook or via email. Let's connect and let's talk so that we can start coming up with cool stuff. All right, that was a ton of fun. Like,
there was a lot of information.
Right, I'm going through seeing if we had
scratching the surface.
Right here. Oh, I forgot to turn on that code that's on here for being able to get the Econo lay flat books there, and just getting lots of people saying thank you for such an amazing program. I'm not seeing any questions that we have here. It looks like you've just kind of blown everybody's mind. I know I've got a ton of notes that's coming up. So, yay. Well, thank you so much, awesome. Shannon. Any parting words or little bits of inspiration for us?
Oh, gosh. If you want it, go after it, work hard, and make it happen. Go get your Sunday.
Right? Yeah, we'll tie into that one right there. And we're getting people that want to come and see you on there. So thank you so
Please
much,
do. Please do.
everybody, for joining us. And Shannon, you've just opened up a whole new world here and maybe a new genre of photography for some of us. So thank you
Oh,
so
thank
much for
you.
your time today.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
All right. Bye, everyone.